Hi, I'm Danielle Ancidis. Today we are doing a Rio Talk. I'm here with
Leo Villanueva.
Jennifer España.
And today we are talking about sequels. So you watched the Halloween sequel, right? When did you watch it?
Thursday. Yeah.
Okay, tell us about it.
Wow, you want her to tell what it?
Well, just
Okay,
the overall feel of it.
If you're gonna tell us about it, I haven't seen it.
I'm not going to give away anything. I'll just tell you that it's very, very good. Surprising, funny.
Are there any?
Funny.
It's funny.
Are there any notable? Now, how similar was it to other Halloween movies?
The original, it goes based off the original one, so it's like 40 years after, basically. And they bring back John Carpenter to help out with everything, but it stayed true to the Halloween spirit kind of thing.
So it still has that corny feel to it?
Yeah, but it's really good. I was very glad. Lots of stuff that I didn't expect would happen.
So were there extra jump scares?
Yeah.
A lot?
Yeah.
Throughout the whole movie?
Sitting there and I was like, what? What's going on? I freaked out most of the time. But like crying. But it was pretty great.
It's a little tough. Horror films, for me, it's okay to redo the story, bring the character back. I'm okay with all that stuff because it's all for fun. It's not like a more serious story where I would expect some consistency with regard to like Michael coming back from being burned or stabbed a bunch of times. Can we expect another Halloween as a result of this one? Is he going to be coming back?
I think so.
Do you think so?
I think so.
You can't kill the boogeyman.
You can't kill the boogeyman.
Okay, so there's no rebirth or anything at the end of the movie that, without telling us,
like
that
would
indicate
through the credits kind of thing. Like if they have a clip right.
Well, no, nothing. Like at the end of the movie, was there anything that suggested to you that we could expect another one?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Very good movie.
Last night I watched the original Friday the 13th, and I loved it. It was one of the scariest movies ever when I was a young boy. The scariest part of that movie was the end where she's floating in a canoe and he reaches up and grabs her and pulls her into the water. That part was just so frightening to me when I was a young boy. But and I love the remakes of the Friday the 13th. Mm-hmm. I love them all.
Yeah, I've watched them too.
What
about you, Danielle?
I have not watched them all. I watched like a lot of the Halloween ones, which is like why I'm kind of worried. Because you said they erased everything like past the first one, right? So like my question was like in the later series they developed like, oh, they're related, and that's like kind of why he's going after her. Is that still an element in the new one? So he's just like randomly going, oh, this one.
It's only based on the storyline for the first one.
So he's just after her for the heck of it. He's like, yeah, this is a good time
for the heck of it. Well, I'm under the belief that he's just completing some unfinished work. So you think it's just he's just targeting? It's not random because he's targeting a specific person.
That's true. I guess he is just trying to finish off what he did. But I wonder, like, if they had not brought back Jamie Lee Curtis to play Laurie Strode, would they have still done this, or was it like specifically like we want her back? This is her story needs to be finished now. Because they did bring her back like for the Halloween 20 years after one, which wasn't great.
I don't know. I haven't watched it.
Don't watch it.
Oh. I hoped that if they were going to go with the Rob Zombie, continue with the Rob Zombie version.
I forgot about that one.
But I'm okay. Like I said, I'm okay with this. I'll accept any version of Halloween or Friday the 13th. Those movies are classics and probably will never die. I love them.
That's true.
Much like Michael, they will not die.
They will never die.
So, what do you think about show reboots? Like, they just brought back Charmed, and I'm kind of against it. I don't want anything to do with this new one.
I was never a fan of Charmed. I tapped into Buffy the Vampire Slayer later in life. Still didn't become a fan of that. I tried watching Friday the 13th, the show. That was pretty good. It was kind of like X-Files meets every scary monster story that was ever told. It takes place in a antique shop, and all the things in the antique shop are associated with something that happened in the past, some crazy, scary stuff.
How long did that last?
I don't remember how many seasons it ran for, but it was entertaining as far as scary shows are concerned. But nothing tops, HBO. I think it was HBO's Tales from the Crypt, stuff like that. Those are really awesome shows. But as far as that would just be a continuation, Tales from the Crypt, not so much a reboot. But I believe that Charmed is just a continuation. I don't believe it would be a reboot. They're not going to redo past episodes.
Well, they're just taking similar elements and then putting new characters into it. And her thing is, she just thinks it's kind of profiting off of like certain issues right now, like turning them all. They're all like Latina or some form of it. And also, like, adding in more LGBT characters and things like that. And I don't necessarily think that's a problem. It's just, like, if you do it in a certain way, it could feel like you're just grabbing at it, like, for no reason at all. Like, it doesn't feel like there's any heart in it.
Well, yeah, I can see what you're saying. There's no real creativity. The content may be relevant to today's, whatever their target demographic is. So you'll see that in storylines. If they're targeting a specific group, we're seeing that in a lot of areas, though, where it seems the general consensus is that the most important demographic when it comes to marketing, whether it's in fashion or in entertainment, is the new, the outspoken generations. The millennials. They seem to be. Everybody seems to be targeting that group of people. So it doesn't, these new shows and the way things are going, like with Roseanne, for instance, those things don't appeal to me. I don't want to see, I want to see politics. I'm into humor. I like to see Alec Baldwin do Donald Trump, but the hate associated with the hate that Alec Baldwin has for Donald Trump kind of kills the humor. You know what I'm saying? So the Connors reboot, where they 86'd Roseanne as a result of some political activity that took place in the background, or some political correctness that took place in the background, that's a turnoff. It's a total put off for me. So I will. I'm not into these. If there's a reboot and the content is relevant to what's happening politically in America, then I'm really not interested. I want to be entertained. For that stuff, I'll go to the news.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I just feel like they need to stop with remaking stuff from before. Try to come up with something new. I know it's difficult, but I don't want to see Buffy the Vampire Slayer with somebody else.
You do want to see Sabrina, the Killing Adventures of Sabrina, though.
I do want to see that.
That's the conservative side in you.
But that is a little bit like... So, like, for example, we're both excited for the Killing Adventures of Sabrina. And that one's not a remake of the original Sabrina the Teenage Witch. It's based off the comic books, which is a little bit more dark. There's, like, witchcraft in it, like a little bit more dark stuff, dark comedy, blood, that kind of jazz. So it's not like... For us, when we saw that, we're like, this is more fun. Because it's not trying to just take what's from the past and, like, redo it. It's trying to make something a little bit new with similar characters. Yeah,
and like I was sharing, the content becomes relevant to today's younger generation. Maybe I'm not offering any real clarity on, providing any real clarity on my thinking, but I'm okay with remakes. The other day, we were one of our colleagues was working on a project for the movie I Am Legend with Will Smith. We found out that was a book from the 50s, and that movie had already been created, a different version of it. And when we began to look into it, the content was relevant to that era. And I love the movie I Am Legend. It was awesome. So, and that was a remake. We didn't know. So it was essentially new to us.
Oh, same with A Star is Born. It's been remade about 3 or 4 times.
I'm okay with it. Sequels, prequels, whatever.
So we're okay with sequels and prequels as long as they're good.
Even if they're corny. I'm a fan of B movies too. So.
All right, then. Well, if you have any favorite sequels or anything you're looking forward to, tell us in the comments below. I'm Danielle Studis.
Leo Villanueva.
Jennifer España.
And this has been our Rio Talk. Bye.